Today, we delve into the story of a nation whose roots stretch back thousands of years, a land rich with ancient empires and cultures, a land that holds a key place in the history of Islam. From the time of the Persian Empire to the rise of Islam, this land has witnessed the rise and fall of countless rulers, scholars, and revolutions. Its impact on the Islamic world has been undeniable, shaping the destiny of entire regions. In the annals of Islamic history, many names have left their mark: great caliphs, visionary scholars, and revolutionary leaders. Yet, today, we focus on one of the most influential and controversial figures of modern Iran, Ali Khamenei, whose name echoes through the corridors of power, shaping Iran's path for over 3 decades. A man who went from a modest cleric to the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, wielding immense influence over the country's politics, religion, and foreign policy. But how did he rise to power, and how did he reshape a nation that was already teetering on the edge of revolution? The power struggle begins 1989. The death of Ayatollah Khomeini leaves Iran in political turmoil. Instead of Khamenei seamlessly ascending to the supreme leadership, a power struggle erupts between conservative clerics, reformists, and rival factions. Mohammad Reza Khomeini, Khomeini's cousin and a moderate cleric, emerges as the frontrunner, promising a more balanced, diplomatic approach. The spark, tensions mount in Tehran. Khamenei, once certain of his rise, retreats into the shadows, his ambition thwarted. Mohammad Reza Khomeini's moderate vision prevails. The power shift is complete. Mohammad Reza Khomeini takes control 1990. Khomeini's cousin, Mohammad Reza Khomeini, becomes Iran's supreme leader. His first acts are to signal an era of reform, including diplomatic overtures to the West and a commitment to economic liberalization. Despite his moderate approach, opposition from hardliners like Khamenei grows, but they are forced into a defensive position. The game changer, Khomeini reopens diplomatic channels with the United States. A historic deal is struck in 1990, ending decades of isolation. Iran begins its reintegration into the global community. The economic boom 1992 to 1998. With sanctions lifted and international relations improving, Iran experiences rapid economic growth. Western companies flood into Iran, and Tehran becomes a vibrant hub of innovation. Oil exports soar, and new industries, particularly in technology and infrastructure, thrive. The tension, while urban areas flourish, rural Iran lags behind. Wealth disparity grows, and hardline elements in the military and the clergy see the growing Western influence as a threat to the Islamic Republic's core values. Iran's regional shift 1993 to 2000. Iran's foreign policy begins to shift from aggressive posturing to diplomacy. Tehran's involvement in proxy wars declines. Instead, Iran focuses on regional cooperation, especially with neighboring nations like Turkey and even Saudi Arabia. This marks a stark contrast to Khamenei's more confrontational approach in the real timeline. The flashpoint, despite Khomeini's diplomatic successes, Iran's influence in regional conflicts, particularly in Syria and Iraq, wanes. Iran chooses diplomatic channels over military action, much to the chagrin of some of its regional allies. Domestic unrest and the Second Revolution 1995 to 2000. The rapid modernization of Iran leads to a clash between reformers and conservatives. The younger, urban population demands more personal freedoms, while traditionalists push back. By 2000, protests erupt across Tehran, with youth movements calling for greater democracy. 6. Khamenei's return 2000 to 2005. Khamenei, once sidelined, resurfaces as a leading figure for conservatives. With the country teetering on the edge of chaos, the IRGC throws its weight behind him. In an unprecedented move, Khamenei forms an uneasy alliance with the reformist president. The government is split, with a balance of power between reformists and hardliners. The plot twist, Khamenei's return signals a shift back toward conservatism, but instead of dominating, he shares power with reformists. The tension between the two factions creates a fragile political landscape. Iran's economic transformation and green energy leadership 2010 to 2015. By 2010, Iran's economy is booming, driven by the lifting of sanctions and a focus on green energy. Iran's vast desert landscapes make it an ideal location for solar energy, and Tehran becomes a global leader in renewable energy. The US and European countries partner with Iran on large-scale solar projects, boosting the economy and improving relations with the West. The flashpoint: despite economic success, political instability remains. The IRGC, with its traditional power base, resists the growing influence of Western-backed reforms. The Iran-EU partnership 2010 to 2015. By 2010, Iran's diplomatic overtures have yielded major economic benefits. Trade with Europe grows significantly. Iranian oil, now cleaner and more efficiently extracted, floods global markets. Iran also becomes a technological leader, particularly in fields related to green energy. The game changer: the Iran-EU partnership flourishes, with Germany, France, and Italy investing heavily in Iranian infrastructure. Iran begins to be seen as a modern, globalized power, less isolated and more integrated into global economics. The nuclear accord, rewritten 2014, unlike the 2015 JCPOA in our timeline, Iran's nuclear deal with the West is signed much earlier, in 1991. Iran continues to develop its nuclear program, but with full transparency. By 2014, Iran is seen as a responsible nuclear power. Relations with the West are stable, and Iran becomes a key player in the global energy market, especially with its growing renewable energy sector. The 2016 presidential election crisis. In 2016, Iran's election spirals into chaos. The incumbent president, Mohammad Javad Zarif, faces off against hardline Ebrahim Raisi. The election is marred by accusations of fraud and external interference. Massive protests erupt, and Khamenei's faction and the IRGC pushes for military intervention. The flashpoint: a brutal crackdown on protesters ensues. Despite the violence, Zarif's government survives, but the nation's political landscape is forever altered. Khamenei, now an elder statesman, continues to influence politics from behind the scenes. Iran in 2020, a hybrid political system. By 2020, Iran has evolved into a hybrid political system, blending theocratic elements with a technocratic government. The supreme leader's role is now more ceremonial, with real power resting with elected officials and technocrats. However, the IRGC still holds substantial influence in military and foreign affairs. Iran has become a regional power but faces increasing internal divisions. The crisis: growing dissent among youth, who demand more personal freedoms and secular governance, challenges the status quo. The IRGC is increasingly seen as a barrier to real reform. Iran's role in the Middle East 2020 to 2030. By 2025, Iran's influence in the Middle East has shifted dramatically. The once feared revolutionary force is now a pragmatic player in regional diplomacy. Iran, Turkey, and Egypt form a new bloc that seeks to stabilize the region through peaceful means. Iran no longer leads proxy wars, but rather acts as a mediator in conflicts like Syria and Yemen. The game changer: by 2030, Iran emerges as a regional leader committed to peace, economic development, and diplomacy. Its nuclear program, though advanced, remains peaceful, and Iran is seen as a stabilizing force in the Middle East. Ali Khamenei, a man who rose from humble beginnings to become the supreme leader of Iran, has shaped the course of history with his decisions. Through revolution, power struggles, and international diplomacy, his leadership has had an undeniable impact, not just on Iran, but on the Middle East and the world. But as time marches on, one question remains: what will be the legacy of Ali Khamenei? Will history remember him as a visionary leader or as a figure bound by the past? The future of Iran and its place in the world still hangs in the balance. The story of Khamenei is not just a chapter in Iran's history, it's an ongoing narrative, still being written today. Don't forget to like, share, and follow for more deep dives into the stories that have shaped our world.